recording in progress. So good morning everybody. I hope that a few more people will occur. I'm happy to open another Coach Café today. We have it once a month in English for international attendance and for international guests, and we have it usually first Thursday of the month. And usually it's in the evening, Prague time, but Søren asked me to switch it to the morning. So I thought, okay, it's an interesting experiment. So now we are experimenting with the morning breakfast, Coach Café. Why not? Because cafe can be drunk even in the morning. So
the Coach Espresso.
Yeah, Coach Espresso, exactly. And I just wanted to summarize at the beginning that the Coach Café is really meant as a space for discussions, sharing experience, more club instead of a training program or networking or business meeting. So the idea is really chat over coffee or tea. Coaching matters. So this is the idea which came to my mind thanks to participants of my evening school of coaching. Terka is one of the representatives, and they were asking me, okay, when we finish our training, what next? We would like to meet sometimes and have a chat. So this brought me to that idea that it would be nice to have a space for meeting. So once a month, usually first Thursday, is an English Coach Café with interesting guests, and also every third Thursday of the month is Czech Coach Café for Czech space. So it's all from my side as an opening. I'm very happy that I have a special guest from Sweden, Søren Holm. Welcome, Søren.
Thank you.
And I have to say a bit more because I was thinking, oh, Sweden. People normally don't know that I have close connection with Sweden because my father lived there for 30 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he left Czech Republic in '68, and because it was difficult time here in Czech Republic. Unfortunately, they divorced with my mom, but we kept we had great connection even after that, and so I was visiting him several times in Sweden, Stockholm, and it was funny because he finally finished as a teacher of Swedish language. So I was just amazed, but I unfortunately don't know any words. And unfortunately, he's gone. So, but I have very close relationships. I have also some sisters and brothers in Sweden from his side. So happy to have a Swedish representative here today. And I would give a word to Søren. Just maybe the opening question. Søren, could you summarize your story with coaching? Because it's about coaching. So how did you get to that field?
So, Michal, could we turn it around so that I get to hear a little bit from the people here first, and then I'll talk?
No problem.
Yeah. Just it makes it easier for me to know.
Yeah.
I don't know about Terka if she hears us because everything is shut off. But so Peter, why are you here in the middle of the night?
Oh well, I have I've sort of I'm right now okay, let's see. I have a BA in psychology, but it's not relevant to that question. Right now, I am kind of hunkering down in Philadelphia because Delta's getting really bad. And so I'm in a very unique financial situation where I don't really have to leave all that much. And I'm planning on just waiting until I get my COVID booster. So I'm kind of getting my nights and days intermixed. Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, it's an interesting seeing about the opportunities that come up during the night in the international world.
And do you coach?
No, but I have taught before. I've taught I've worked with different populations of. I worked in alternative school for about 2 years. My last real major job was working at a psych ward, being a mental health tech. And so when it comes down to communication, beyond simply the jargon of different languages, what does it mean to reach people with an idea, to help inspire collective effort, is always fascinating, although I'm not very well versed on those arts.
All right, thanks. Martin, how about you? Your sound is still off. There you go.
Better. I'm interested in this tema, in coaching. I work as a Scrum Master, so I like to learn more, perhaps.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. How about Bronislav, or are you? Can you hear us, Bronislav?
Yeah. Good morning. So I'm joined a little bit later, so I'm just trying to so what we are talking about. But okay, so a little bit about me and about the coaching. So I'm not full-time coach. I'm trying to doing something like a coaching application in different areas. Yeah. So in the leadership, in the innovation engineering. So some kind of the cross-function activities. Yeah. So, but coaching generally for me is it's really the pure support of the people to reach their goals. Yeah, because my background, or why I started with coaching, is the sport. Yeah, and the sport coaching and mental coaching is something what is the most interesting topic for me. And I always say that sport, or the sport environment, is the world in the small. It's like all life, our life. Yeah. So that's what is the best place for learn there, and they try to apply the new approaches and all these things. So okay. So that's that's all for me right now.
Thank you. Terka, do you want to chime in? Let us know something about you.
Sorry, what kind of what?
I was asking Terka.
Terka. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, Terka probably taking care of her kids.
Hi everyone. Do you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry, I'll be more just a passive listener today because I've got 2 small kids here. But regarding coaching, I'm a beginner, I would say. I've been working in human resources for some time, and now I'm on parental leave. But regarding coaching, I see a big potential when raising my kids. So maybe this is the area I'm interested in now, and the connection of coaching and raising the kids makes me some sense. So that's all from me for now, and thank you.
All right, we won't require you to chime in if you're busy with something else.
Okay.
Good. Well, so that's interesting to hear your backgrounds. My starting point has been from a coaching perspective for coaches, but I think you'll find applications. Oh, we can see Bronislav. All right, yay. I think you'll find applications for other areas. We'll see where the discussion takes us. So I started. My background is behavioral science from the university, and then I started my coach training in '97. So I've been around coaching for a long time, and I've gotten to do all sorts of things with coaching, train coaches and train managers in coaching. I've written a book about coaching for managers, and I've served on the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, in all sorts of different ways. And one of those roles that I still do for ICF is examine coaches that are applying for credentials. So I get to listen to a lot of coaching at sort of the mid-level. I assess coaches applying for the middle accreditation of PCC, for professional coach. And something that I've been trying to understand what it is I'm hearing when I listen to many coaching conversations. There's something that puzzled me, and I've been trying to figure that out. What is it? There's something about these conversations that isn't very helpful, even the ones that pass. And then a few years ago, I ran into a discipline called clean language. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it, but it's originally a therapeutic approach that is now used in many different areas. I won't go into details about it because it isn't the primary focus of today. But doing that helped me understand what it is I'm trying to, that seemed off. That's about those coaching conversations, and honestly, sometimes about my coaching. So that was helpful. I don't think this is like a brand new idea that coaches had never thought of, but I think it's useful to pay attention to, and we'll see if you agree with me. So for today, I thought I'd throw some thoughts, not very extensively. I didn't do a PowerPoint presentation because Michal said it was a cafe. We get together to talk. So, you know, I have my flip chart. I can write stuff on it. But other than that, I just thought I'd raise a few points and then have us think about those together. Okay, so by way of introduction, I want to ask two questions. So the first one is for you personally. If you imagined that right now you were offered a coaching session with a really, really good, experienced, renowned coach, somebody that you thought you had great confidence in, and you were very hopeful that they could be, that cooperation could be useful. If you just imagine that for a second, my question is, what would you want to accomplish with such a conversation? So what would be your topic? That's all. I just want to, it's a way to get us to start thinking. As you understand, we won't do the coaching. I'm just trying to get a list of topics that you would really, that are real for you. So,
forgive me. This is my sheer ignorance about this, but coaching in what capacity?
Not sports, personal or business.
Okay, so that's still very grand.
Yeah.
Let me think. Pretty much, I would want to know what is the relationship to confidence and money, I suppose. I think, it's fine-tuning relationship to those two things that end up being two of the greatest keys towards upping one's success in relationship to class markers.
So I'm assuming that you're meaning, what's the relationship between confidence and money for you?
Yes.
Yes. All right, good. Great, thank you. Martin, how about you? What would you want to talk about?
When I coach, I talk a lot. So, I would like to see how to talk less and more listen.
All right.
More listen and coach. And
Yep. Thank you. Bronislav, I want to make sure I had to read it off the screen, so I make sure I got it right.
Okay, there is a lot of topics, but I'm thinking just what it was the first on my mind was how to define the success.
Ah. Yeah, great. Michal, what about you?
I have specific topic. I have long-term wish to offer coaching school teachers, and still not very successful with marketing. So I would have this specific topic.
How to market coaching to school teachers?
Yeah.
Great. Let's see. Terka, if you want to chime in, you're welcome to. You don't have to.
Yeah, regarding my topic, I would discuss starting a business, like my own business. I would like to start. Yeah, that's it.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's let those hang for a little bit, the cliffhanger. The second thing I want to do is I want to show you, this is from a transcript of an actual coaching session. And I've edited it a little bit just to make it a little more readable, because, you know, in when you speak, there's lots of ums and ahs and retakes, but this is real. This is a client at the beginning of the coaching session answering that same question that you just answered. And the client says, during our last session, we talked about the little devil on my shoulder, who's mostly in a bad mood and brings me into a bad mood. This is something I want to overcome. To give this little devil so much space, it would be really helpful to focus on the little devil and to become a better understanding why I feed this little devil and why I give this little devil so much room. I would really love to understand why I do so. So my follow-up question to you, now put yourself in the role of a coach. Whether or not you have experience doesn't matter. But if you were the coach to this person, what would you want to ask her? This was a her. What would be your first question to her?
What does the little devil want?
Right, hold on. I should write this down. What does the little devil want? Thank you. Martin, what do you think you'd ask? There's no right answer here, obviously, so.
I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. What are you most curious about when you hear this?
I think that everybody has their own little devils. So I don't know.
All right, that's fine. Bronislav, any thought? What would you ask?
I guess that I'm very curious about what the devil means for him.
Right. Michal?
I'm still having questions. Why?
Why what?
Why do you want to know more about him or it? And what's your expectation if it happens?
Yep. Terka, anything you want to add?
I don't know. For me, what first came to my mind was like how often the devil comes, in which situations. Like I would like to know more details.
Right. Yep. Great. Okay, let me take this off. So we can, there we go. So it occurs to me, I mentioned that I have some inspiration from exploring clean language over the recent years. My first encounter with clean language was at a coaching conference. Somebody was doing a presentation, and we were asked to do an exercise, a little coaching exercise, and we were told you can only coach this other person, but you can only use these 3 questions. You don't have to use them just once, but you can only ask these 3 questions. And I sat down with a young man, and he said something like, I get so angry at times, and I can't control it. And the person who was running the seminar was right next to me. And he leaned over and said, don't ask about the anger. And this was it was 5 years ago. I've been coaching for about 20 years or 15 at that point. I wasn't new to coaching. And I was completely stumped. I could not think of a single thing to ask if I wasn't supposed to ask about the anger. So I thought it was very interesting. I hadn't been that stumped in a very long time. So that in itself got me curious. So when I listen to coaching sessions, they, like the little excerpt I just gave you, and like your follow-up questions, they're very much focused on problems. And that's easy to understand, right? I mean, clients usually come to coaching, not always, but usually because they have a problem. There's something they want, and as coaches, and I would say probably as human beings, we're drawn towards problems. A colleague of mine wrote somewhere, a problem is like gravity. It draws the coach and the client into its orbit. And it seems to me that when problems draw people in, like, of course you want to ask about the devil, because that's all I get that. That's like me wanting to ask about the anger. That's the problem in the room, right? But when the coaching is focused on that, it seems to spiral inwards in a sense. Nothing much happens. It just that's not always true, but there's a big risk of that. And I understood that part of why many of the coaching sessions I listened to seemed ineffective was because they spiraled around a problem. And I actually think that's true for a lot of conversations in life. Let me just, for the sake of clarity, what I mean by problem. So for me, the simple definition of a problem is something that the client or you or whoever has that they don't like. That's a problem. So I have a little devil on my shoulder as a problem statement, right? Yeah, I hate it that my boss never listens to me. This project is a lost cause. I'm overrun with emails. All of these are problem statements. They describe something I have that I don't like or don't want, right? So I'm going to try to do one more little sort of pedagogical thing. Hold on. So there, and we will. So you can see this, right? Here are.
We can see, but it's quite small. If you can get
it's quite small. Okay, let me.
Yeah.
That's better. Okay, so just to illustrate what I'm trying to communicate here, which of these statements seem like problem statements to you? Which of these describe? I'm just doing this to raise our awareness a little bit, our clarity. Which of these? I'll do. There's a second column that I'll get to. Which of these to you seem like statements of problems?
I'm stuck in a rut with no way out.
Yep. Definitely a problem statement. What else?
Also, number 13.
My biggest problem is insomnia. It seems pretty clearly a problem.
Also 15.
That's interesting. I'm going to put a little parentheses around that and eventually get back to that.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily a problem to want to stop.
Exactly. I would say number 17 seems like a problem statement, doesn't it? I can't finish reports on time.
As opposed to I haven't. Can't
Yeah.
being the limitation of identity.
Well, and I'm making an assumption that it's a problem because maybe they don't care if they finish them on time or not. We don't really know that, but and oops. Let's see what on the other side.
How about number 5?
I think number 5 is I keep getting into debt. Seems like a clear problem statement.
Number
Great.
1.
Probably. I'll do the same with that one, Michal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is just to get us thinking, really. Okay. Now the counter point, the alternative, that's the word I was looking for. The alternative to a problem focus in coaching is, of course, an outcome focus, right? And you actually had some pretty clear outcome wishes for your own coaching, interestingly enough. So how to talk less and listen more. So an outcome is something that you want that's new in the world. There's something new you want to achieve. It isn't looking at what's wrong. It's looking forward at what you want. So listen more and talk less. So you can guess that there's an underlying problem here, right? I talk too much and I listen too little, but that's not what's said here. That would be, if that had been what you said, that would have been a problem statement. I talk too much and listen too little, but it's phrased as an outcome. I want to talk less and listen more. And how to define success for me seems like an outcome statement. How to market coaching to teachers seems like an outcome statement. How to start my own business seems like an outcome. It's something new that you want to achieve. So let me just, for illustration, I'm almost done with my points. Let me do this again. So what outcome statements do we have here?
Number 2.
Number 2, let me just change the color on this. So that I want more joy in my heart. Absolutely. What else?
Number 8.
Want to be more confident with sales.
I'm interested about 6, but not sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Sounds like an outcome. I think want to feel at ease in my space is probably an outcome, right? Whatever that means, I don't know that, whether it's physical. I think I want good quality business. Seems like an outcome.
Maybe number 10.
Oh, I'm getting too excited. Probably. Yep. Okay. Just so my goal with this is to raise your awareness so that you hear problem and outcome statements more when people talk to you. Not just in coaching sessions, but whether you're some kind of therapy, whether you're with your child, whether you're in sports training, whatever that is, to be able to hear, oh, this is a problem. This is something they don't want, and this is something they do want. And I'll just say that. Well, let me not say that. Let me ask you instead. So I have 2 questions then. The first one is, if these are the 2 endpoints of a scale, if you will, what advantages do you see? Because I'm sort of claiming that I think coaching is more productive if it's outcome focused rather than problem focused. That's my claim, right? So let me put that back to you and say, what advantages do you see from focusing on outcomes, whether it's in coaching or life or parenting or whatever, wherever your arena is? What advantages do you see of focusing on outcomes? This is the discussion time.
Well, I mean, the whole idea of anti-negative, statements and ideas, it ends up fixating on the negative, on the problem, rather than the drive that comes with having in your mind what you ultimately want. I mean, I think that's the basic idea of anti-negative versus pro-positive, a form of framing or recontextualizing the mind in relationship to these more of statements that are open to inspiration and answers, rather than simply ruminations on the nature of a problem, which could happen to the nth degree. When it comes down to about what I've looked at, when it comes down to say like affirmations and such and mantras and such, of people trying to instill in their minds of being a pro-positive kind of outlook, you know, personally, I think it gets tricky when it comes down to how effective versus shallow it ends up being as a conditioning. You know, does it actually transform the negative thinking, or is it something one just robotically goes along with?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. What about the rest of you? What advantages do you see of focusing on outcomes?
I like dreaming, so I think that outcome is much easier to dream about. Because maybe it's a difference between dream and nightmare.
That's an interesting point, isn't it? Yeah.
I think outcomes don't stress us, and outcomes, like said Michal, is maybe our dream, and maybe move us forward.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, honestly, what I think is often missing is that most people have a clear imagination in different regards of what they don't want. But when it comes down to real ideas of what they actually do, people run a blank.
Yeah.
And I think that's endemic of people having like that imagination being almost a block to what it means to actually fantasize, like, oh, I know I want that. And I think that is beautiful outside of some vague thing like I want to be healthy or I want to be rich. You know, what it actually means to actually have a fantasy that you find beautiful and thus inspiring enough to creatively look for ways to get it. I think that it's what does that mean to get that image?
Yeah. Bronislav, any thoughts?
So for me, it's an interesting topic about the output, because yeah, I agree. I have to look on the future. I have to be positive. Yeah, I have to learn something new or change situation. It's for me sometimes it's quite difficult to find the right words. Yeah, how to describe, to believe those words, because people are always, and especially in nowadays, everybody is positive, but it's just they are just words, and they in their soul they don't believe. Yeah, so you have to say something what you believe and define this right statement. This is not phrase. It's quite difficult. Yeah, so
that sort of goes to Peter's point about affirmations too. Yeah. Terka, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I have something because I really agree with everything what you just said, but I'm still thinking about the advantage of possibility for person to describe and speak about what is wrong, because sometimes people I see this therapeutic influence, like when the person has the possibility to speak about the real situation, how it is now, and they need to say it aloud. So I'm thinking how to connect this to approaches, because I also see the advantage of describing what is wrong now. So that's all.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Personally, I think I'm not advocating never talk about problems. I think you're right. I will add, though, that most clients, including me when I'm the client, really would like to talk about our problems. We really would like to have people hear us and hear how miserable our lives are and how hard things are for us, whatever and while I understand that need, in terms of change, it doesn't help a whole lot. And really the sort of the basic objective of coaching is change, for something to become different. And so it's an interesting balance, Teka, and I think it's part of the art of coaching or conversation, sometimes just being a human being, is to balance giving space to the things that are hard with actually finding an outcome so that things move forward and don't just stay focused. Because like I said, problems are like gravity. They'll pull your attention. And so one of our connection points, Michal and mine, we were just talking before you guys came on, is a coaching methodology called the inner game. I won't go into that at all. Michal can do that much better than I can. But one of the basic tenets of inner game, and indeed of several schools of psychology, is that what you pay attention to increases. And it's such a basic aspect of life that we don't often think about it. But you all know it. You're thinking of buying a new car and you're considering a Hyundai, and suddenly you see Hyundais everywhere, just because you're focusing on that. If I asked you right now, what's it like underneath your butt where you're sitting, suddenly you become much more aware of your bottom and the chair. It's not that you're sitting more than before, you're just putting your attention there. And so your experience of it increases. So from that basic idea, if you put attention on problems, what happens? It grows, right? It occupies your mind and your attention.
Maybe I will kick it off a bit, but I was thinking about the gravity and the black holes, and I was thinking that for example, a great movie, you maybe could travel through black hole to other spaces. Sorry, it's just off, but as a discussion over coffee.
I've been in part of the New Age community, and their iteration, of course, is where focus goes, energy flows. Yep. And when it comes down to just how I've seen the abuse of that principle, which is this whole idea of if I ignore it, it goes away. I mean, therein lies part of, I think, something where I've seen people using that philosophy to simply turn a blind eye to things they don't like, because they believe that by putting attention to it, grows it. So instead of, there's always, I think, that potential threat. It's important to look at the potential of growth of a problem by giving it attention, but also the sense of what it means for a problem to grow or get worse if we don't give it any attention, right?
Good point. Thank you.
I also like a simple grow model from John Whitmore, and I think it's also about the order, because if you fix, or if you focus on the problem first, then you are losing opportunities to grow. But if you start with the wish and then come back to understand I call it like a foundation for the rocket. If you want to reach Mars, you have to imagine Mars. You have to know specifically what Mars is, but then you have to build up the base for the spaceship. And this base for me is like understanding the current situation or understanding the problem. So I would say that there is a balance. And of course, as we mentioned, I think that dreaming is very important to move you forward, but we cannot forget the starting point to basically really to, I call it, to have the spaceship on the solid base to fly to the Mars.
I should probably mention, as you've already understood, that there's a, if we have problems and outcomes on either end, there is a, of course, an in-between state or statements that aren't directly problems, aren't only problems, and aren't only outcomes, but are a mixture of the two. And those are the statements where there's something, well, let me show you. So a statement like, I want to stop procrastinating. There's a problem in there, procrastinating, that I don't want. So there's both a problem and a desire for change, right? James Lawley and Penny Tompkins, who I'm borrowing from here, and I'll give you a reference to an excellent little article of theirs. They call this remedy. Remedy is something that you do to get rid of something. So this is a mixture problem. I need protection from the fear is another one of those. There's a fear I don't want, so I want protection from the fear. And you can imagine that the problem statement would be, I'm immobilized by fear, or fear is getting in my way. That would be a problem statement. And I want courage would be an outcome statement. And in the middle, somewhere in the middle, is I need protection from the fear. Again, that's, I've had enough of rushing to make deadlines. There's another statement like that. There's a rushing I don't want, and that is a I don't like, and there's I don't want to have that anymore. So there's an outcome I'm looking for, or I want to stop being late for meetings. That's just to give you a little more nuance in your listening. So really the last thing I have to offer in terms of input, this is straight out of the clean language training.
By the way, I put into the chat that it would be nice if you can share some resource about clean language later.
I saw it. This is the basic outcome question. In other words, I mean, you can make all sorts of personal variations of it, but this is the basic question to help somebody move in the direction of outcome. So, so there's a little devil, and it goes right to what you were saying, Mikhail. There's a little devil on your shoulder. And when there's a little devil on your shoulder that's taking up all your time, what would you like to have happen? Right? So you're not ignoring the problem, but you're and I do think, Peter, I agree with you. I think there's having listened to that particular sessions that I have, but you haven't, your question, what would the little devil like to have happen, would have been really helpful to her at some point in that. So there can be a point in also exploring problems, but I wish the coach would have asked, when that's true, what would you like to have happen? Because I'm completely sure, and that was actually the content of the session, but you can know right away, she doesn't want to understand why the devil is there. Who cares why it's there. She wants to get rid of it, obviously, but she can't think that herself yet for whatever reason. So helping her by asking, what would you like to happen? And you can ask that over and over again, acknowledging what people say, but keep coming back to, okay, so when you don't have any money, when you don't know what to do, how to market, then what would you like to have happen?
Well, let me ask you this, if you don't mind. That
Sure.
if let's say her fixation is the devil on her shoulder, and if you ask her, what would you like to have happen? And she says, reiterating, I would like the devil not to be there.
Yeah.
What then would then be a response to shift the narrative?
I did not plant this question with Peter, just so you know. It just happened to fit perfectly with. So there are two basic questions. This one goes to the problem. But if she says, I want the little devil to go away, that's a remedy statement in the little description. So the question that goes with the remedy statement is, then what happens? So you'd like the little devil to go away, and when the little devil has gone away, then what happens? So you help them move into that outcome space and say, okay, so what do you see there?
I like that.
So for me, and honestly, this goes back to the little experience I told you about with the guy who got so angry. I wanted to ask about the anger, and all that would do is to make him more angry. I mean, what else is going to happen, right? But to ask, when you get so angry at inappropriate times, what would you like to have happen? Well, I'd like to find a way to control it. So when you control it, then what happens? Well, I'm calm, and so we explore calm, and where does that calm come from, and how can you, and then suddenly he's finding something constructive.
I when it comes down to, there's two basic forms of language that I don't mean to oversimplify, but there is the one looking for acknowledgement and understanding, and another is looking for brainstorming ways to change.
Yep.
I mean, it's and of course I believe all conversation involves a balance of the two. In regards to what someone is looking for, in regards to someone meeting them on their wavelength, so that they can. I guess I mean, it's easy to talk at someone, right? This idea of, whatever your problem is, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you figure out what you want. And I think that, there's great truth to that when it comes down to just the essence of moving on. But we all have different degrees of how far we want of things to be addressed before, just like, say, what's the matter with you? Why aren't you got, even though you had all this trauma in the past, snap out of it. Here, focus on what you want. I mean, that's been tried and time tested. Not saying there are not people where it works for, but people tend to be very stubborn, when it comes down to their emotional hangups. So it's all about how far is needed. Can we go into acknowledging without getting sucked in, so that things can start, the ice can be water, and so it can shift.
Yeah. Which is partly you're outlining a difference between coaching and therapy, and partly just the art of coaching, how to balance those two, which I don't have a formula for. I'd be so rich if I did. But I wanted to raise your awareness of these two things, and to give you, for me, these are basic like tools in my toolkit. These two, and then you can phrase them in different ways, but.
I just want to say I love them. I truly love them, and I have benefited a lot already by having been exposed to them. They're very worthwhile for me to really think about.
So this was the little presentation.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Any other questions, points, reflections? Still, we have some time.
No, as well. Thank you. It was really interesting. for me is again the reminder that yeah, we need to always to focus on the positive future. It's not easy. Yeah, as was this discussion that the people are still this stuck in their problem, but I have sometimes a tendency always to be a little bit more the psychotherapist and start talk about their problem, because they are happy. Yeah, they are satisfied with this, but it must be under control. Yeah, so always to think about the reframing. Yeah, so, and thank you for remind, really. Yeah, because it's a real benefit from those webinars and discussions that I be back again on the right way in the coaching.
Great, I'm glad, Bronislav. I put some resources in there. There's an article that sort of goes into more detail about what I've talked about today by James Lawley and Penny Tompkins, who developed this particular model of problem, remedy, outcome. And on that website, cleanlanguage.co.uk, you can find more articles and information that you could ever stand to read. It's a little overwhelming, but there you can poke around there. If you're coaching, a really interesting book for coaches is Marianne Way's Clean Approaches for Coaches. And if you work with groups in any kind, Caitlin Walker's From Contempt to Curiosity is incredibly fascinating. This is her personal journey in developing some of these tools and approaches. I have to say, I really love this book. It's so hopeful. So that to your question of resources.
Thank you very much. I was thinking, if you are writing your book, because I was thinking that overhearing so many coaching conversation is offering great space for research, for deeper understanding of people relationships. So when is your book planned to be published?
That brings us to a whole other topic, Michal. I'm not sure I want to get into that with you today, but I appreciate the encouragement, though.
If I may, I would like to offer a question that I sort of came up with that I think of I found to be useful. I believe that part of, is sort of in ways of getting that balance between problem and solution, and getting the sort of imagination revved up in order for it to get out of, just that stuck classic paradigm, is of, by introducing a little self-awareness. And one thing that I like is this idea of, if you treated someone else the way you currently treat yourself, how would you end up treating them differently?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I find that, it splits the self into two. And so then it creates a dynamic relationship that's sort of open-ended. And I find that the imagination is more of a supple when there is that type of innate questioning instead of, so either because it's seen as a relationship rather than just a stuck sense of self.
Yeah, I like that. It occurs to me, do you know the Danish American comedian Victor Borge?
No, I have not.
No, he's a generation, you guys are too young. He was a concert pianist, and he got so nervous about playing that he started making jokes, and then he became a comedian. And he had some funny routines, but one of his little jokes really illustrates the limitations of focusing on problems, on what you don't want, what isn't. He said, well, people keep compliment me for having, you know, a big repertoire as a concert pianist, but really, he says, I only know 2 pieces. One is Clair de Lune and the other isn't. I know, I always thought that was really funny, but it also shows the problem with isn't, right? You know, anyway.
Yeah, I think can't is a very powerful word.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's there are all these of intrinsic semantical of imagination blocks.
Terka, any other comments?
Yeah, guys, I'm just listening now because my daughter is sick, so I'm trying
Oh.
yeah, to help her somehow and speaking to the doctor and so on. So I'm just like half with you, but half with her, and yeah, it doesn't work well. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for today. It was a very interesting topic, and maybe I will listen it again than the record of it. Thank you.
Sure. Let me put my email address in here in case you want to get in touch later.
Okay, so Terka, thank you for participating, and of course, taking care of kids is
really
more important than coffee. So really focus on important things. And if there is any other question, I think there is last few minutes to spare to have a discussion. And if not, I think 1 hour is enough for a coffee.
I'm ready for my second tea. That's
What's another question you'd like to ask? What's another question you like to ask in coaching that you find very helpful?
So my 2 basic favorite questions are, is there anything else about that? And what kind of whatever, you know, what kind of devil is that? Or is there anything else about that devil? Those are the, like, I don't know, 70–80% of my coaching are those 2 questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, this is, I can't take credit for this. This is David Grove, who developed the clean language. These are his questions, but
there's few things better than a good question.
Isn't it? Oh, I couldn't agree more.
And I would add just also the presence. Also the silence is my favorite question, but not the silence like a stupid blank face, but but the silence with the understanding. And it's also helpful. So I would wrap up.
Great.
If there is a silence from our participants, because I'm not in touch with all of you, and it's not a coaching conversation, it's just a Coach Café. And I'm happy you could come, and I'm very happy that Søren could come. And we have the recording. Of course, I will share it over platforms, and also I'll share it through my webpage, which I just put it here. It's michaelondracek.com, and it will be also there.
Great, good. I'll link to that on some of my platforms, Michal.
Yeah.
To drive a little traffic.
Yes. Okay, so thank you very much for being with us, and hopefully see you next month or next Coach Café as a participant. Søren, you can come anytime.
Sure, great.
Great. So thank you, Peter, thank you,
Thank you guys.
Martin, Terka, and
Thank you.
see you next month or next year. Goodbye.
Take care, everybody.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.